Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to preview round 26 of the 2024 NRL fantasy season. So it's heating up here in Brisbane. Got the AC on in the background. You might be able to hear it. Apologies if it does come through the microphone. But it's definitely hotting up in SuperCoach land with a lot of our head-to-head grand finals on this week. So I guess, for those that have still got trades remaining, we'll go through those possible options that I guess you could look to for your head-to-head victories. And then obviously captaincy will be important as well. Definitely some different options available. And then I guess I'll go through my team and my plans for my final trade. So number one on the list, and this is going off all coaches as well. A lot of the top guys don't have a lot of coaches, so we will go a bit further afield. But Jacob Little at number one, as you can see, only 3,000 trading in. So a lot of people would be bringing him in for Harry Grant or Api Coruscant, given that they're not available this week. He's sort of been real sneaky, averaging 63 across the season, super consistent. I guess it's probably something we should have foreshadowed, given Shane Flanagan's love of a single 80-minute hooker. I think he had Jaden Brayley back in the younger days, or Mick Ennis before him. Little's one that probably just got away from us. I mean, if you're desperate for a hooker this week, he is an option. I think there are other options, but I think, against Para, Saturday afternoon, nice matchup. You could absolutely use him in your team. Matt Burton, so pretty popular option to trade in the halves. Obviously, we've got Nathan Cleary out, got Jerome Hughes out. I think they're the two main ones. Nicho Hynes, he's a bit of a 50-50, still on the extended reserve. And I guess with how late the Sharks play in the round, it might be a bit too late for a lot of us to make the move. Particularly if you've got a Cleary or a Hughes. Those teams play earlier in the week. So I do like Burton. I've had him for a lot of the season. Scored 100 last week, which was a really nice point of difference for me. It's fairly popular own though, like 25% ownership and going up. Against Manly, it'll be an interesting one. I will back the Dogs to win, but I'm not sure on the size of the margin at the moment. I'm just I think we'll get the win. I think it'll be a gritty, tough win, is the feeling I get. I think, if you're looking, and his flexibility is nice too, if you want to flip around Brown, Cody Walker, those sort of options. Number three, Sam Walker. So I think, he was good to get on last week against the Titans. Slightly harder matchup against the Raiders. It's not to say that the Roosters can't score points and the Raiders can't concede points, but I think it'll be a bit closer than what the trades suggest. But in saying that, I traded in Walker last week. He got 68, which is okay. If he got that again, it's more than a Jerome Hughes will score this week. It's more than a Nathan Cleary will score this week. So you could definitely bring him in. I think if I had to pick a half option, I'm just trying to think who he's actually playing. I'd try and wait as long as I could for Nicho Hynes. Someone's trying to call, get rid of that. But I guess after that, I'd probably go Burton, but that's a bit of a Bulldogs bias. So Walker's a great call. I think we'll just leave it at that. Angus Crichton, great call. Pretty much won me the head-to-head last week with his 132. He won't score a hat-trick again this week. I hope he does, but I don't think he will. Solid base, 60, 70 points, lock him away for that. And if he can jag a try, push towards 100, we'll be cheering. So, if you're looking for a second rower to replace Eli Katoa, I think he is a great option. Zach Lomax, I do like this a lot, matching up against Parramatta. So I guess the team he is moving to next year, but the way Para's been defending, his ability to score tries. Up against Micah Sevo on that wing, so I guess the crossfield bombs will be interesting. But he's the sort of bloke who will stand up. So yeah, I think you can comfortably bring in Lomax. Isaiah Yo, so I guess if you haven't quite got the 700k for Angus, you can absolutely bring in Isaiah Yo. Scored 102 last week. It's not to say he'll score that again this week, but he's always rock solid. And if anything, he probably has increased his workload a little bit with Nathan Cleary down. Trying to lift the team as captain, sole captain, I should say. And with South without Cam Murray, it could be an interesting proposition in the middle there. So, he's definitely one I'm considering bringing in this week for my team. Reece Robson, I guess, the nice matchup against the Melbourne Storm's reserve grade team, essentially. But, 520 is a great price. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation where I've got Harry Grant, who I would like to play next week, assuming he plays next week. But I've also got Reid Marnie, who has just absolutely dropped in value. So, if you've got pretty much any other hooker than Reid Marnie, I think you could, trade to Robson. Probably like his value a little bit more than Little's, and that sort of little potential for upside. In saying that, I don't think the Storm are going to be that terrible. They run that system where every player knows their role within that system. So even say Grant Anderson, who's been put into half back, I can't envisage him playing the full game at halfback. I think the young fella will actually come off the bench and probably start at halfback. But if Anderson was to play halfback, he would understand what his role is in that team. It's not to do a great deal of kicking. It'll probably feed it to Munster, feed it to Wishart, feed it to the young kid if he's on the field, and let them do the kicking, and he would be more of like a running half type option. And obviously defensively solid. So yeah, I don't hate any of the Cowboys players coming in because I think they will win. They're probably just too much class, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. So the potential for upside of someone like Robson, I don't really see it. Not that I see upside with Little either. It's literally if you're looking for a number and you want to play one, Robson's cheaper, so I'd play Robson and use the money elsewhere. Nicho Hynes, so a lot of people predicting he will come in. It's definitely a throw at the stumps. I can't see it here, but I think they have like the third last game of the round, so you don't get much time to adjust if he isn't available. So yeah, just trying to think. It'd be maybe if you're trading him for Lockie Galvin, you could obviously reverse and do a different trade if you needed to. But again, that would sort of be dependent on Burton would be locked out by then. Dylan Brown would be locked out. Cody Walker would be locked out. So it probably really depends on who your half 5/8 swing is in that case. So risky, but I guess particularly if you need that absolute flyer because you feel like you're down on your head-to-head, you could absolutely go him. Val Holmes, I've talked about the Cowboys already, but I guess if anyone is going to go big, it will be Val Holmes. Obviously, kicking goals is a nice bonus. He has the ability to find the try line, but also just, has that decent base, averaging 81 for the year. Obviously, if you got the money, you could bring him in, but, it is a big if at this time of year. So, Val Holmes, if you can afford him, bring him in. Joe Tarpany, I guess, if you're looking for a front rower, particularly with a view to next week, with the Warriors out, that means no AFB, no Mitch Barnett. So, yeah, it makes sense to bring Tarpany in. In saying that, Payne Haas has been named in the extended squad for the Broncos. So there's every chance he could come back and be a really interesting pod. So Jerome Luai, another half 5/8 option. Starting to get to the real pod territory here, the likes of Adam Reynolds against the Dolphins. Dan Gagai is one that, again, if you can afford, I think, against the Titans. He's the one I'm scared of in my opponents head-to-head. The big cash league that I'm in, he scored 137 last week, so he's in good form. And I guess, I don't know if they'll be on the list here, but obviously the likes of Ponga, if we scroll further down. I do also like Bradman Best and Greg Marzu. and maybe, best on the left edge, it might be able to also unlock Marzu. Dylan Lucas was a little bit of a ball hog from all reports last week. So, those sort of options as well. If you're targeting the matchups, I do like the Newcastle matchup on a Sunday Arvo against the Titans. Kalen Ponga is an interesting one, I suppose. If you've got Teddy and Turbo, do you go for the upside of Ponga? I think it's only if you need to catch up on points. Um, you know, Teddy and Turbo will score solid. They even Turbo up against the Dogs, who defensively are quite good. Um, Turbo is the one player that can score a point or score a hat trick out of nowhere. And Teddy has obviously been massive all year, averaging 91. So that's trade ins, trade outs. I don't think we need to waste too much time on. It's basically if they're not playing this week. So Cleary, yes. Grant, yeah. Hughes can chop. Katoa can go. Coruscant, Galvin can go. McLean, So yeah, if you got any of these guys, feel free to chop them. I guess the ones that are playing, Jermaine Osako, I think, the Dolphins have just been struggling for form. They are playing against the Broncos, though. So again, I think Osako is one that my head-to-head opponents held on to. So a little bit stressed about the potential upside there. So probably hold Osako. Cody Walker, I guess against Penrith, there's limited upside. But, if anyone's going to go big in that South team, good chance it's going to be Cody Walker. Or at least it's going to go through Cody Walker to get to the big points. Luke Brooks, I think, yeah, you can chop. I don't like the Dogs matchup for him. Jai Gray, you can chop. He's definitely one I've flirted with trading out. This week, the tough matchup against Penrith and then the Roosters next week. So I guess maybe that's why people are getting out of Cody Walker, is they are tough matchups back to back. So, yeah, okay, that's fine. DCE, I think, was a 1 week punt, so that's fair. Greg Marzee getting traded, I think that's the bigger void. Just hold on to Greg Marzee. He could go massive this week, and you will be kicking yourself. I mean, at his price, I don't know who you're bringing in. You must have a lot of cash in the bank, is all I can say. So I guess before we get to my team, we will preview the GFs, so not the minor grand final. No one cares about me or the Super Troopers. We all care about Canberra Milk and Griffin Meme. So the projected points are going to be a bit rough because of all the outs, but I guess it is good to see as well what each team needs to cover. So for Canberra Milk, he had Hughes and Katoa. And Fino on the bye, so they were all named last week. But I mean, Robson, Curran, Iro, Marzu, I think there's definitely enough coverage there. Just who's the other halfback? Sam Walker, yep. So you got halfback covered. Yeah, everything else, all front rows. Yeah, so Josh Curran will slot in there, that's fine. So I think, yeah, Reese is well positioned. Justin with Fino, Coruscant, Cleary, Katoa, Hughes, all out. That's not ideal. Just trying to see who's the other hooker. Jacob Little, so that's fair. Got coverage there. Other halfback with Cleary. So Cleary and Houston, no halfback potentially. So looks like maybe Reese has the upper hand. I'm not sure on trades, but we might see something there. Second league. Go back. Not any fear of going back. I'll see if I can get it back. Here we go. Alright, so second league. No, not me. We're looking at Team Rob and a short dropout. So in terms of outs this week, so Hughes and Katoa, Grant Katoa, and Dan Laurie not named, so another one to replace. But at 5'8", that's a bit tricky to cover. But it looks like okay. Oh, so Cody Walker would slot in to 5'8". The other hooker is Connor Watson. Pretty sure he was named. I'm not 100%. Well, tell me if I click on his profile. selected on interchange. So I guess he's a number. So if you're out of trades, Rob, you can hope for something good there. Imagine he'd come off like onto the field and play that 55 minutes. If he comes on after 25, Ero will slot in somewhere too. Val Holmes to come in. So I think there's enough coverage there. And for short dropout, so missing a hooker with Appy, but Crossland, and nice matchup against the Titans, playing in the halves. He could be feeding a few tries, which would be pretty nice. Halfback cover, so no halfback cover there, which is a bit of an issue. So I guess, again, probably advantage to Rob, who's got a hooker and a halfback this week. And into the final matchup for the Classic Leagues. I will quickly go through the draft one. I was almost going to forget it again. So, shake and bake and failing big. So, having a look. So, both missing Eli Katoa and Harry Grant, but also Jerome Hughes for failing big. Possibility of getting Cody Walker in there somehow, maybe. I know DC, so does have the cover. Jake Simpkin on the bench as the hooker, so maybe missing a hooker there. And Tom Starr, I'm pretty sure he is playing. I'll just double check. So a bit of coverage there. Yeah, so he has been starting. Going all right, so decent coverage there. And it doesn't look like any major issues. No Lockie Galvin, but Dylan Brown was sitting on the pine. So he comes in. I think he can do okay this week. So, and obviously Val Holmes still to come in. So, again, just based on full team availability, I'll back Cameron in on that one. And I guess finally the draft league. So, for the load, no, not interested in my team. They're long gone. A fixture. What's happened there? Final series. So, okay, I've got to go back to game day, though, not my league. There we go. So we've got Liam and Daniel in the final of the draft, and I guess Liam's been out in front all year. So just having a look at the team. So he's got Nanai and Robson tonight, which is pretty handy. I think there's particularly Nanai against the Storm. I reckon he's a good chance of scoring a bit of meat. Lomax, if that's correct as captain, I think is a great call as well. Fletcher Sharp's been in good form, so getting him at fullback's decent. Sammy Walker at halfback, so pretty solid squad. Also, guess can rely on Kalal Matangi potentially in the second row if need be. For Lane's trains, so Jarrell Skelton getting a game, so that's worked out well. Paddy Carrigan, Katoni Staggs, captaining for Feeder, so I mean, he does have the propensity to go big. I'd be leaning towards one of those two, but again, I'm not in the grand final, so what do I know about drafting? And yeah, maybe Jay Clifford as well. Talk about, if you think the Cowboys are going to go big, could be a nice differential there. Although I guess in draft they're all differentials. So good luck to both of you guys. I'm going to back Liam in just because he's been doing so well all year. I think he's projected to win. I think that's how it's going to shake out. So I think I've covered all other bases. So I need to go back to Classic and my team for this week. So I do have a couple I need to cover. Harry Grant, and I am going to use Reed Marnie. Not ideal given his form, but I guess if he is going to have a big one, why not this week? Katoa as well is out, so we can bring Nikora in. And then the rest of the team is covered. Obviously Teddy and Turbo, there's no risk there. These guys can play. It really just comes down to the last reserve, whether it's Jai Gray or it's Josh Curran. And I guess the last reserve also does depend on my final trades. So I do have a couple of options. The first option, and the option I am leaning towards, is just going for the points like that are on offer for free. Um, if I can get it to load, a lot of people on here making last minute decisions. I love to see it. And bring in Isaiah Yo. Pretty much the same price. I am a bit hamstrung by the limited budget I have available to upgrade, but Yo just offers that reliable 60 plus points. He showed a little bit of upside last weekend, so I could do that, and then I would obviously have a pretty comfortable fourth bench option. I shouldn't have confirmed it because I wanted to show the alternative too. Um, but I guess as well, like talking about having Isaiah Yo, if I just put the reserve on him, my thinking behind Isaiah Yo is if I do go to my main focus for this week, which is the big cash league. So I've already got a bit of cash locked away, which is nice. As runner up at worst, but it is an extra. I think it's 1,100 if you win. So I'm all about that. But yeah, looking at the opponent who's done really well, I think he's a head-to-head player. I think he's still got 2 trades up his sleeve, so I can't really control what he does in that sense. But if I bring in Yo, it does cover that potential score. And then you can see he does have to cover a few players. So he's got Galvin, Coruscant, and does have Simpkin as well. So I'm pretty sure he's got to use a trade on a hooker, which is probably going to be Little, Robson, something like that. Probably Robson at the price, I'd imagine. Can bring Cody Walker in for Galvin. Like he's only on the reserve, so that's easy. And McLean can be covered by Bostock. Or he could do another trade. He still has that second trade, I think. So I'm predicting it could be someone like Holmes or something. So there is a school of thought of I just leave it for tonight. I'm not going to bring in any players from the Cowboys or any of those Storm players. So I could try and leave it and just sort of see and reassess. The alternate option, if I go back to my team, is instead of Yo, I'll trade him back out. A little bit trickier because I've got to find Katoa first. But I'm sure he'll pop up near the top of the list. He's been good this year. Shouldn't be too hard to find. Oh, there he is, number 1. There you go, unreal. Well done, Ellie. So Ellie Katoa back in, so we get the trade. So the other one is I'm not convinced Garrick's going to score massive against the Dogs. So I'm thinking I can trade him out, if I can trade him out. And I've already talked about him before. You can see I'll be limited to about 620k. So at that price point, I am pretty keen on Greg Marzu. Scroll down to show you the price. Because I think I was just short on Bradman Best as well, which wasn't ideal. I don't know where they are on the list. Try again. Oh, do I have to complete the trade first, I think. To reverse it. There we go. All right. Yeah, so let's try and trade out Garrick for Marzu just so you can see what it looks like. I guess you can sort of work out what it looks like, but essentially I'd have to play Josh Curran, I think, over Jai Gray as my fourth reserve. So that's the downside. I guess it's that, you're weighing up 2 players, Marzu and Curran versus Yo, and Garrick. And, it's a tough one, but a bit of cash on the line puts a bit of pressure on. So that's the second option. So I won't confirm it just yet because I'm going to cancel it. But yeah, that's what it would look like. Not with the VC or anything, but that team, it'll be Curran instead of Katoa. So they're the two different options that I'm pondering. In terms of the trade, the third option is obviously just holding the trade. So I guess just backing in the team that I've got. So that would be Garrick and Curran to do the business. But I guess also as well, because my thoughts on the VC and C, which I actually just realised I forgot to do. I should go back and look. So let's go back to SuperCoach Plus. Go top 10% for captains because some people just have given up by this point. They're usually not in the top 10%. So most popular captains this round. So James Tedesco, obviously the last game makes it ideal for captaincy. You can sort of have a bit of a wider shoot at the VC. Tom Trbojevic, obviously, if you've got him, back him in. Like I said, I think the Dogs' defence will curtail him somewhat. But it worked well last week, people going the straight C on him. Why not again? Kalen Ponga, obviously, if you've got him, I think it's a great shout against the Gold Coast. Val Holmes, can see very popular as a vice captain. Straight C is very bold, but fortune favours the brave. Could be enough to put some pressure on your head-to-head opponent, and then they make some panic trades and works out. And then sort of very pod territory, but Sam Walker, Zach Lomax, Dom Young, Angus Crichton. So obviously, if you like any of those Roosters assets that played the last game, Zach Lomax is an interesting one. Plays right in the middle of the round against Parramatta. Saturday afternoon, not Allianz, what's it called? The Parramatta Stadium, anyway. It should be a pretty fast track. So, could be a good one there. And then Dylan Edwards, again, if you've got him at fullback, it makes sense to get him in the conversation. And Nathan Cleary, obviously, some people have already given up. VCs, any other options? I guess there'll be a few from the Cowboys, but no, Reuben Garrick's still very popular. I think that's like me, a bit of a holdover from last week. Tommy Trbojevic, yep, if you got him, you could. Lomax, we've talked about. DCE, again, might be a holdover from last week. I can't imagine that will be the case after tonight. Again, Jerome Hughes, a few people haven't done their trades yet. Jake Kiraz is always up there with a shout. Jerome Luai, against Souths is a nice matchup for scoring points. And Kale Iro, so I guess that's one I haven't thought of, but he's been going well. He's made 500k this year, and he did well last week with a 91. I don't know if that would be enough for me to take the captaincy as a VC, but again, might be a holdover from previous week's action. So, I guess in terms of the captaincy, it's somewhat in line with what I was thinking. Stick fat with Teddy at captain. He's just the most reliable option, I think. But the VC on Zachy Lomax. So, just feel like he has the biggest potential to go big out of these guys. So that's, I guess, where my head's at. As I said, it's most likely going to be Katoa to Yo, but I have to do that tonight if I'm going to do that. Otherwise, it becomes Garrick to Mazu. I guess, the thing is, if I want Lomax's VC as well, then I need to, find a way to bring Porter or Fino into the team. The Warriors will be locked out. They won't quite be locked out by that point, I suppose. It could be something like that. But then I guess someone will drop out from somewhere. I haven't quite worked out that bit yet. But I guess we'll get there if the situation demands it. So I guess now that I've talked about it and the fact that I have to trade Katoa tonight, I'm just going to lock in Yo. not stress about it this weekend and just let the SuperCoach gods take the wheel, I think. But yeah, if you've got any other suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comment section below this video. I will definitely try and get on and have a look before kickoff tonight. But I've pretty much, this was my gut feel at the start, and they always say you should stick with your gut if you're tossing up options. So I can't see it changing, but if you've got a great argument or you've got a left field idea that tickles my fancy, I might just go for it. So I'll plug in Yo on the bench. I'll play around with the reserves and stuff once I get the video up and running. But that's essentially the team that is hopefully going to get me the big money. But yeah, as always, if you enjoy the SuperCoach content, remember to give us a like, subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. NFL Dream Team kicks off soon. FPL is going. We'll talk about that very soon as well. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.